rights over the test and refused to allow anyone else to provide the test unless they licensed or purchased the test from Myriad Genetics. Myriad Genetics charged an extremely large amount for for the test. There was a tremendous amount of publicity in the United States at the time. News stories about women who could not get the test, about women's the children of mothers who had the BRCA1 and BRCA2 or BRCA2 genes, who couldn't be tested because nobody could afford the test in order to be able to determine, in fact, the likelihood of getting cancer or not. And again, we have no idea, at least I have no idea, how much that prompted the Supreme Court to, in fact, hold that merely isolating genes found in nature doesn't make them patentable. But as you know, the result in that case is that the mere isolation of a gene using obvious techniques to isolate that gene makes that a patent ineligible invention, whereas the creation of artificial DNA, of cDNA, nevertheless is patentable. Interestingly, with respect to the Myriad case in biotech in general, it's very, if you look again at it historically, when the United States sort of opened the door to biotech patenting, it placed a lot of pressure on other countries to follow suit. And to a certain extent, it very much had an influence on Europe and the direction of the creation of the European Biotech Directive. And there is a certain irony in the fact that right now the United States is actually behind Europe in terms of in terms of patentability of isolated genes. Very quickly, the most recent case is the Ariosa case. The Ariosa case involved the discovery of cell-free fetal DNA in the bloodstream of the mother by using techniques that the court have said were well known. What the Ariosa invention allowed was it allowed a doctor to diagnose birth defects without having to actually enter into the woman's fetus. It could do it by simply a very simple blood test. And what in this case, the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit did was to apply the Mayo test and the framework that it was set forth in Mayo to hold that, in fact, the Ariosa patent was the Ariosa invention was not patent eligible. In that case, Judge Lynn, one of the judges on the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, criticized the Mayo case and said that this case represents the consequence of the broad language in Mayo, and that language excluded meritorious inventions from being patented. There was a petition for a rehearing of the entire court. As you know, the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit sits in panels of 3 judges, but there are about, I think, 13 judges on the court, and you could petition for a rehearing in front of all of the judges, and the judges denied that rehearing en banc because they said that they could find no basis to distinguish this case, the Ariosa case, from Mayo, and that it was bound by Mayo. However, in a relatively unusual situation, 2 judges filed concurring opinions to that decision, saying that although they agreed not to grant a rehearing, they felt it necessary to say that basically to invite a rethinking of the Mayo and Myriad cases and to express their concern that, in fact, we may have, in the United States, gone too far. Malachi, should I stop here?
I think we should stop.
Okay, great.
If you have time, please.
Absolutely. Thanks.